Good day, everyone. Welcome to our second lecture in Contemporary World 100. So, for chapter 2, we will be discussing about the global economy. Okay, but before that, let us talk about or what do we expect from this chapter. First is that we will be defining economic globalization. We will also identify the actors that facilitate economic globalization. Third is that we will explain the role of international financial institutions in the creation of a global economy, equip students with 21st century learning, and develop higher order thinking skills that will lead towards a deeper understanding of global economic structures as well as articulate a stance on global economic integration and how it impacts the Philippines. So what is economic globalization? Sentes defines economic globalization as process making the world economy an organic system by extending transnational economic processes and economic relations to more and more countries and by deepening the economic interdependencies among them. So the word that we need to understand and remember here is the word interdependency. Interdependency refers to a circumstance wherein other countries needed products for another countries in order for the sustenance of their citizens. For example, the Philippines. Philippines is rich in agricultural country, but we need other countries to provide for our television, to provide for our generators, for our aircon, for our military equipments in the Philippines that only other countries can provide. So on the end of other countries, they might also need other cultural products coming from ASEAN nations, including the Philippine government. Okay, so just like Japan, for example, no, it's a very uh, progressive and industrialized country, but they need other countries to provide for their agricultural products also. Benses also emphasizes that interpretation of the current trends in the world economy must be understood in the global context of an integrated world economy. The state does not remain as the sole unit of analysis. Non-state actors such as international organizations, non-governmental organizations, and multinational or transnational corporations play significant roles in the international economic process. So one thing that we need to remember here is that only state actors or non-state actors can be members of international organization. Therefore, an individual like us, no, or even the president of the Philippines cannot personally be a member of international organizations. When we talk of international organizations, we're referring to World Bank, International Monetary Fund, United Nations, European Union. In these different organizations, only states, when we say states, country or bansa lang po ang pwede maging miyembro ng isang international organization. So the post-World War II economic expansion, also known as the Golden Age of Capitalism, and the post-war economic boom, or simply the long boom, was a broad period of worldwide economic expansion beginning after World War II and ending with the 1973-1975 recession. So what usually occurs when there is war? There would be destruction, there would be the institutions will be damaged, infrastructures will be destroyed, there can be no economic activities, there is no movement, in the business, okay, and the businesses cannot operate because people will be compelled to stay at home, no. So because of the World War II and its aftermath, because of the effects brought by the World War II, it actually caused the regression of the economy for most, if not all, countries in the international system. So everyone really suffered from the World War economically. Economy is down. Okay, so everything or everyone needs assistance to restructure themselves to recover from such problem, from such economic problem. So because of that problem, the Bretton Woods Conference, officially known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, have they have gathered themselves as delegates of 44 nations who have met from July 1 to 22, 1944 in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire to agree upon a series of new rules for the post-World War II international monetary system. So basically, they they have gathered themselves because states have realized at that time after the war that we should do something about it. We need to resolve the problems, the current economic problems that we are suffering. Okay, so because of that, they have established the Bretton Woods Conference, and as a result of the Bretton Woods Conference, it led to the creation of two economic organizations, which are, excuse me, International Monetary Fund and World Bank, or the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It was also uh, by virtue of the Bretton Woods Conference in which the third entity, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, was created. So what's the difference between International Monetary Fund and the World Bank? International Monetary Fund oversees the international monetary system. It promotes exchange stability and orderly exchange relations among its member countries. It also assists all members, both in industrial and developing countries, that find themselves in temporary balance of payments difficulties by providing short to medium term credits. So in other words, if the cause of the economic problem is due to the fact that there is too much importation, for example, because it's basic in the study of economics, that in the context of Philippine or third world countries, okay, too much importation of product is not good for the economy because it would cause trade deficit later on. Okay, so when Philippines, for example, or any third world countries spend too much in the importation of products, okay, this is usually cause that there could be problems in the economy. So when there is problem in the economy, they would go to International Monetary Fund, okay, and they do not go to World Bank because these problems arising from economic activities are addressed by the International Monetary Fund. The World Bank, on the other hand, seeks to promote the economic development of the world's poorer countries, assists developing countries through long-term financing, development projects and programs, provides the poorest developing countries whose per capita GNP is less than 865 a year, special financial assistance through the International Development Association. So, succinctly put, World Bank is one of the financial institutions, but it promotes different purpose. It promotes economic development. So in other words, if your purpose of using the money is to promote social services, to promote housing, social pension, for peace, for example, how about the Marawi Siege rehabilitation, in Marawi City? Okay, so after the World War, the states or the Philippines has to rehabilitate Marawi, and the national government has to help the local government of Marawi for the rehabilitation of the city. So where do we get our funding for that rehabilitation? We got it from the World Bank. Okay, so when there is cyclones, when there is warfare, when there is calamities that may occur in the Philippines, okay, so we get these funds from the World Bank. Okay, and again, if your purpose is for the reduction of poverty, eliminating or uh, eradicating poverty, then it's best for you to go to the World Bank because that's the purpose of this institution, the promotion of economic development. So what's the common denominator between these two financial institutions? The common to these two institutions is that they provide for loan. Okay? They provide assistance for countries who suffered economically. So why did they create the post-war institutional framework? It was created to address the problems that occurred during the interwar period, trade protectionism, and exchange controls, which led to the Great Depression and to the World War II. Okay, so this is the very reason why these institutions were created. Okay. Bretton Woods Conference, or also known as the Keystone International Economic Organizations, or KIEO, due to their central role in trade, development, and monetary relations. So what is International Monetary Fund? Now, it is a set of general rules, legal norms, instruments, and institutions shaping payment conditions in foreign trade, and it is brought by the multilateral international agreements of trading participants facilitated by international financial organizations. Okay, so that's the 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 concept or the definition or meaning of the IMF. Okay, so it actually, okay, with with respect to the Philippine government funding on the purchase of COVID vaccines, no, we actually got majority of our funding uh, were actually um, coming from the World Bank and Asian Development Bank. Okay, so we got our funding for the purchase of vaccines in the Philippines, no. So we got them from the World Bank and Asian Development Bank and the other financial institution also. But sa tatlong ito, sa World Bank tayo pinaka may malaki na nakuha as funding. Okay? How about the International Monetary Fund? What is the fund doing to help countries during the coronavirus crisis? First is emergency financing. It is responding to an unprecedented number of requests for emergency financing because that was an unprecedented pandemic or event in the international community. Now, no one has expected that. So they provide emergency financing, grants for debt relief, calls for bilateral debt relief, enhancing liquidity, also the adjusting existing lending arrangements. So if you have agreed to a short-term uh, period of paying your obligation in the IMF. So because of the COVID-19, we can extend that. We can extend the period to help the countries recover. Okay. They also provide policy advice and capacity development. So these two institutions were actually to promote global monetary cooperation and international financial stability. They were created in 1945 and was designed to monitor the system pegged or fixed exchange rates. Official exchange rates of currencies were related to gold and US dollar. Why? Because it was designed to prevent the trade wars that occurred during the interwar period due to competitive devaluations of states of their currencies. So the state suffer from balance of payment because of because of interwar. No, they reduce the value of their currencies to boost exports with cheaper products, okay, and decrease imports. So what is balance payment deficit? It occurs when a country spends more than it takes in. So if you spend too much, if you import too much, that would likewise, that would ultimately the reason why there is a balance of payment deficit. Hence, if there is a deficit, you call on the IMF for the assistance. Okay. So let's talk about the World Bank. Okay, just a review. Its purpose really is to reduce extreme poverty while addressing the imperfections of global capital markets continues to be secondary importance. Again, it's the purpose really of World Bank is the promotion of economic development and promotion and the delivery of social services. Okay. So recent news, the World Bank approves 500 million to help mitigate impact of COVID-19. This is apart from the loan they have granted in the purchase of vaccines. No? It's different. Okay, ito yung una. Okay, yung talagang pag-ECQ natin. No? So World Bank already also provided us loan, and apart from that, they have also provided us the funding for the purchase of COVID vaccines. Okay, so as a conclusion, one thing you need to remember in the study of these different financial institutions is that they are just there for nothing. Now they are created for a particular or specific purpose. In this case, to help the world economy, to help each country recover from the effects of pandemic, for example, the effects of war, the effects of different calamities that we experienced and we suffered. Okay, so those are the the things that we need to remember. You know, the essence of global economy. Okay, so at least we know the difference between the IMF and the World Bank insofar as providing loan is concerned. And these two, although both of them similarly they provide loans, but they differ with respect to purpose. Okay, that would be all, and your coverage for your prelim exam will be globalization under chapter 1 and global economy under chapter 2. I wish you all the best in your examinations. Take care and God bless everyone.